Hi everyone, I'm Denny and this is Penny. We are the director of Canopy Indonesia.
We're calling from West Kalimantan, Indonesia, Borneo, and excited to be able to join you for the webinar and give you updates on our project here on the ground. We're going to introduce you to Tony, a volunteer from Australia that has been with us for the past 12 months assisting our work here in West Kalimantan. I'm going to hand over this to Tony to give you details on Project Borneo updates. But thank you for being part of Project Borneo.
Thanks, Benny. Hi, my name's Tony and I've been working with Denny and Benny from Canopy Indonesia on and off for the last 12 months. They were instrumental in the filming of the rise of the eco-warriors and provided our logistics and on-the-ground local support through 2011 and 2012. That's going to be really exciting, but our project update is going to be a slideshow coming up shortly. Stay tuned and I'm going to narrate that. There's a bunch of information in there that I hope that you'll find useful, and thank you for being part of Project Borneo. Keep up the great work. There's loads of resources out there and we look forward to seeing you online soon. Thanks, see you soon, bye.
Welcome to the first Project Borneo update. As some of you might be aware, Ben, Liza and Perry were invited back to Borneo by Dr. Willie Smits to see the progress of the Sintang Orangutan Rescue Centre and the new clinic that they're building there and also in Tembok. So the first stop was the Sintang Orangutan Centre. It's on the same grounds as the Cobus House, and that's where Father Jacques, who's part of the Gibbon Foundation, is located. It's a beautiful place, it's got beautiful grounds, and the orangutans are well cared for by a handful of carers, a deng and a number of other staff. You'll see some of them here in the picture. The orangutan clinic itself is almost finished. It's got a little ways to go yet. There's still equipment to be put in and power, but you can see from the pictures that the progress is advancing nicely. The eco-warriors had a chance to look inside the building and talk to Dr. Willie and Dr. Sri about the final layout, and it's located a short walking distance from the orangutan cages. The picture you see on screen now is a gibbon cage, and there's two gibbons there at the moment. Perry's feeding one, and there was one that had a wire around its neck which was causing it some concern, but I think Denny managed to make friends with that one and put him at ease by removing the wire. The staff at Sintang Orangutan Centre are incredibly caring. That's a deng, he's one of the head keepers at the centre, and he spends a lot of time with the orangutans. The cages are always clean, there's fresh fruit, they always get leaves to make their nests with, and of course this is just a step towards their rehabilitation and eventual release as soon as the Tembak orangutan facility can be completed. And of course those schools that have donated money up until this point in time, you can see where it's going to go. It takes a lot of time and energy and expertise to actually work with the orangutans to ensure that they're equipped to go back into the forest, because some of them obviously haven't been in the wild for a very, very long time. One of the most recent additions to the family of orangutan at Sintang is a male orangutan by the name of Mamet, and his story is quite incredible. He was badly injured and had been poorly kept for many years, and his rehabilitation with Dr. Willie and Dr. Sri has seen him improve incredibly. And the latest addition to the family is Terra, who's 6 months old, and she requires constant care at the moment, so it'll be some time before she'll be able to join the other orangutans in the main housing area, but she's doing incredibly well. After spending a few days in Sintang, we made our way to Tembok, and Tembok's located about 3 hours from the Sintang Orangutan Centre. And as you can see, it's surrounded by palm oil. You drive for hours and hours and hours, and It's quite distressing, but the closer you get to Tembok, the terrain changes and the rainforest reappears, and it's in the dry season it's easy to access, but in the wet season it's incredibly difficult, as you can probably imagine. As you approach Tembok, you can see Mount Sauran in the distance, and unfortunately there is a palm oil company encroaching close to that, and the village are working towards that. But Tembok is an amazingly self-sufficient village with fresh water that's diverted from the mountain streams, lots of fresh produce from the community vegetable garden, and it was the first village in West Kalimantan to have micro hydro power, which supplies most of the village. Tembok is surrounded by more than 60,000 hectares of secondary forest. You can see the technician's hut on the hill there, and the village has very generously donated that land for the eventual release site for the orangutans from Sintang. The Eco Warriors were excited to be back in Tembok. They spent a lot of time there last year, and you can see a cage in the background there which came from Sintang. And they also brought a water tank, some plumbing supplies, some other materials and tools to further the project. The village elders are very active, and everybody pitched in on this particular day to mark out the site, to dig some holes for foundation poles, and of course, being a long-term project, we'll need to continue to raise funds for this to employ a vet, make sure that there's sufficient food for the orangutan, and possibly some other staff members. But the project's well underway, and you can see Ben here putting in the first foundation post for the clinic. Pa'apui, as one of the village elders, presided over a ceremony to acknowledge the contribution made by the schools, and this temporary plaque we made up for filming purposes will be turned into a permanent plaque once the building's constructed. But the village is very grateful for the opportunity to have this project in their region. Another project which is underway in Tembok is a seedling nursery from Pakniat, which also includes 3,000 sugar palm seedlings, and sugar palm occurs naturally in the rainforest, and it provides sugar syrup and the possibility of making ethanol as a biofuel. The rainforest restoration team helped Pakniat set the nursery up last year, and I think there's now 30,000 seedlings ready to plant in the next 3 months, which is quite amazing. Pakniat works pretty much on his own, but here he is with Ben, Liza and Perry, and with a mango tree that was planted I think 12 months ago now, so it's grown pretty well. Because the Eco Warriors spent much of their time in Tembok on Project Borneo, Dr. Kathy Henkel brought along some trailers which featured some of the villages and the locations, and we had a screening at the new church, which was almost complete. We had a great turnout for the night. It was a really beautiful gathering, and it gave everybody a lot of laughs and an opportunity to see themselves on screen prior to the film being released. After travelling back from Tembok, we went directly to Ensaid Panjang, and that's the home of the Longhouse. This is a village which has had some difficulties with illegal loggers and palm oil plantations encroaching onto their forests. And this village is a site for other projects which include Earth Watchers and the mapping team, so that we provided some maps last year that actually marked out their forest lands, and it gave them some official documentation which they could use as evidence or in support of their claim on the forests that surround the village. And while we were in Borneo, Liza put a call out on Facebook and managed to raise some funds for some GPS units and digital cameras, so the villagers can gather more evidence and be able to pass that information on to the authorities. Ensaid Panjang relies heavily on the rainforest for food and medicines, and while we were there, Dr. Willie and Pak Sembai were discussing reintroducing tekanang plants, and from the tekanang seed comes an oil which was widely used prior to palm oil becoming popular. This is another project we're supporting, and you can see Pak Sembai and Dr. Willie with the Eco Warriors discussing the project. That's just a few of the updates from Project Borneo, and we hope you keep in touch with TIG and Deforest Action and with the rise of the Eco Warriors, and we hope that we'll see you soon.